everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge, where we have conversations that give aspiring entrepreneurs the edge that they're looking for. I'm Varun Arora, co president of the ESL here at Plaksha University. And with us today, we have Dyumna, who is the co founder of Project Clay and currently a student at Northeastern. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll let you give your introduction, what you're building at Project Clay, and then we can dive in.
Done, sounds good. So in terms of intro, I'm Dimna Madan. I'm from Goa, and I like playing football, and the rest of my life is pretty much just revolving around my startup. So at Project Clay, we do two things. We mentor high schoolers and college students. Basically, we help them apply abroad for bachelors and masters, and we also help them build standout extracurriculars like their first startup, their first podcast, their first AI tool, etc.
Awesome. And you know what's amazing is that I have known her since Brooks Brainry, which was which was sort of the earlier version of Project Clay.
Right.
And ever since the after that, she's gone on to secure funding from Ankur Warikoo, and then just recently her episode aired on Shark Tank, where again she secured funding. So it's just crazy how I've seen the entire journey, and you have no idea how excited I am to dive into this convo, right?
Thanks, man. Thank you for being with
Yeah,
us for long.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. So I would like you to elaborate on your journey from the very beginning. I think, ever since you did a baking venture with your sibling to where you are today.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing since we were kids was pretty clear was that we had to have our own startup, me and my brother. That was a very big household conversation. So that's how we started. My brother really liked baking. It was COVID. We didn't have anything to do. So we started baking those cupcakes. People liked it. We kept selling them. We made a good chunk of money. We both fell in love with entrepreneurship. Then I always disliked school because it didn't let me explore outside. So I always, it's been a big dream of mine to have my own school one day. But I knew I always wanted to be in education because one, again, schooling system, and second, I really like my teachers. I feel like they shaped me into who I am. So I wanted to give back to the system. So I always knew I wanted to be in education. So at 15, I worked at this edtech startup. I worked as the social media person for a design coaching center. I've done social media for like a nutritionist that was teaching food stuff. Then I worked at Early Steps Academy. I worked at Blue Learn, and very quickly I realized that I really like education, and yeah, so that was a big realization. And then, but how Projectly came about was I was applying for summer programs. They were too expensive, so I thought, I'll just build my own. And In the next 2 years we had 5,000 students take our programs. I took a gap year to monetize it. It didn't work out. I met Variku. He gave us 2 lakhs, but he said, boss, shift to one-on-one mentorship. We said okay. He's obviously much much smarter than I am, and we had not been making revenue for 3 years, so we knew there was something wrong. And then as soon as we made the switch, the next day we had someone call us and give us our first 500 rupees. So that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I was really, really wrong, and I need to be listening to people a lot more. And Yeah, since then, June was our first revenue operational one where we made 22,000. We are now at a run rate of about 1.52 lakhs 6 months later. And yeah, we got to go on Shark Tank, which was probably the biggest day of my life so far. So it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. It was 3.5 years of zero revenue, and then the last 6 months have just picked up so quickly that it's been very insane to us.
Yeah, when that first rupee comes in, it's always really, really exciting, even though you've been building for 3.5 years. That
Yeah,
just fuels you now for probably 10 more years.
exactly. No, exactly, man. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So what's really interesting is, this thing where you're once a builder, you're always gonna be a builder. I think I
Right.
see that with your journey. And everyone listening in, I think that's a huge sign maybe entrepreneurship is for you, even if it's not working out. Just wait for it, it eventually will, if you
For sure.
think you are a builder, right?
For sure.
Yeah. And what's one interesting thing that you said on the Shark Tank episode Right. So you got into the top 3% of WT fund. Amazing. Congrats once again. And after that is when you actually decided to partner up with a co-founder, your co-founder Shivam. Right. So did you always plan on, eventually getting a co-founder, or that wasn't on the radar and this, prompted you to find one? How was your co-founder journey?
So, I worked at Blue Learn, right? And I feel like that's where I have most of my business principles from. I learned a lot from the founders there. They were very nice. So they always told me, ki, boss, don't rush into this. Having a co-founder is great, but never rush into the process, like because it is a very important decision. So I never rushed into it, but very organically it happened. And I knew because I had a co-founder earlier as well. We had to part ways, and then I'd been there were like a year and a half, 2 years where I was building this out alone, and it's hard, man. Like it's so hard. Even when we weren't making money, there was nothing on the line. It's just it is so many emotions that like it's just nice to have someone to share all the like really high highs with and the really low lows with. So it's sort of organically he just became such an integral part of the company. And I got to the point where I thought, okay, like maybe Project Lab, I don't know if it survived without him at this point, right? So he definitely and again, Y Combinator has also been my startup school along with Blue Learn. And there's I don't know if you watch those videos, but there's one video that says, when it comes to splitting equity, don't be stingy. Even if you've been building it for a long time, like always give them their fair share. So that's what prompted me, and I was like, yeah, he deserves it. And having a co-founder is great. Honestly, like I don't know how I ever did without it. Because I am really good at some things, but I'm really, really bad at some things. And same for Shivom. So we're able to sort of balance that out, and we're a good team. And yeah, it's definitely helped the business a lot.
Yeah, I think if you're able to find that complementary match with a co-founder, I think that's like perfect. That's all you need, right?
100%. 100%.
So just clarifying, you were already working with him, and later on you just decided to,
Correct.
split 50-50 and become co-founders.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, so that works. You don't have to just dive right in as co-founders. Just start working, see if it works
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And you mentioned Y Combinator. One more really interesting thing I noticed was that you mentioned a couple times that you have found the market that you want to work in.
Yeah.
And I've heard and even read from a lot of places today, it's not about, your starting idea, but really that founder market fit. And it's that market that you pick that matters the most in the long run. So,
Correct.
and a lot of people really struggle with this. How would, what would you say in terms of how can you find the market you want to build in?
Yeah, I think one thing is that one thing every founder will say is that it's just so hard. It's just such a hard journey that if you don't like what you're doing, you just make it 10x harder. And then when someone comes in and really likes what they're doing, they will beat you so easily. So in terms of finding the market, for me it was like I was seeing Shark Tank pay that Go Zero dude came, and it was like perfect founder market fit. Parents are in it, he studied all of that. So not a lot of people will have that. So I think it can otherwise be just defined as what drives you every morning. Honestly, like right now, I'm not at a stage where I should be giving like advice about this. I don't know if I have found a market fit. I'm helping kids go to college, like Harvard and Stanford, which I'm not in, right? But I just really like what I'm doing, and I think the customers see that I'm passionate about making this student centric and just a much better solution for them. So they also have trust in me. Like we've talked to so many parents, we have to sit with them for 2 3 hours, but we're happy to do that, because we understand doubts. Now, if there was someone else in my place that like didn't really care about this at all, they probably wouldn't do the grunt work that's needed to get to your first 100 customers, right? So then it just becomes that much harder to be successful. I believe if you're not passionate about the industry. So I think that is key.
Mhm. Being passionate is definitely one way, but there's this contrarian view where, the most boring businesses easiest to make the money in.
100%.
If if it's
Bro,
something passion driven, then yeah.
100%. I think that's something our generation will struggle with, especially because, like, I don't know, there was some stat that said kids want to be YouTubers more than doctors and engineers and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's an issue with me as well. Like, all my so I worked at various startups, and everyone sort of treated me like a younger sibling, right? So I regard them as all of them as like my elder siblings, and all of them were like, yeah, we at the start we also thought B2C is sexy, we'll make money here. We are all in B2B now. And I'm sure one day that'll come. But while I have the energy and while I can take all the defeats and while I have the passion, might as well do B2C. But no, you're right, bro. I have no clue if I found a market fit. Maybe, and I have no clue if I'm building the right startup. Maybe this is like a terrible idea. But I have fun doing it. So
Yeah, that's what matters, the journey. And again, once a builder, always a builder. You'll find your next thing.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Rather than the builder, I'd say I'm a seller. I think Shivom is a builder. I just like to sell things. I really like marketing and making content and doing sales. That drives me, like being able to close. Um, which yeah, I think that also like always a builder, always a seller. I guess you can adapt
Yeah.
that to any sort of startup. I just like to, yeah, be able to sell stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That gives a really good segue into the personal branding content that you've been putting out. I think that's been working amazingly for you.
yeah,
And you mentioned that's something you're passionate about, but again, everyone should do it. Personal brand, really important stuff today. Yeah. And how does your process look like in terms of storytelling? Your storytelling's amazing. How does that look like?
thank you. So I I I pick really like it can be massive life events or really small life events. Like, I don't know if you follow my LinkedIn, but I put out a post about how I wrote a cold email to Ranveer Alabadia and he never responded. That's a pretty basic thing, right? You write a cold email to someone, they never respond.
Mhm.
But that post got like 50,000 views because I then segued it into this guy never responded, but here are all these guys that did and they shaped me. So, in terms of process, right, there is this thing called the story arc. So, it's that you set up your character, then there's a conflict, there's a resolution and there's a conclusion, right? कुछ लफड़ा होता है, वो sort हो जाता है, conclusion है, सब happy है. So that is my sort of, I follow that very strongly in my videos. The order might switch, but these things have to happen. There has to be a setup where people like me and root for me. There has to be something that goes wrong to keep them like hooked, and then there has to be that right and that satisfying final ending, so that is the loop I follow. But other than that, in terms of picking stories, I guess it just things that I am personally excited about. Like, when I was taking that gap year, I wanted to share it with people. When I got my first paying customer, I wanted to share that with people. I thought that was a great milestone. When Kohli retired, not Kohli didn't retire, when he got his like 100th century or something, that was pretty crazy to me because Kohli was my idol. So there, it just things to me that like were milestones in my life that I like to share, but it doesn't have to be that, right? Like if you see content today, um, you make a nicely filmed video of a leaf falling, you can get 1 million views. The algorithm is pretty random, but I think the only thing that is the most important is consistency, which I haven't been good with personally, which is why I don't see like insane growth at this point. But if you can stay consistent every day, post one new thing, I think everyone can go viral, bro. It's not that hard.
Exactly. That sums up general stuff. Maybe we could dive a bit more into Project Clay.
Yeah.
You mentioned 65% month-on-month growth. Amazing numbers. You also mentioned it was organic, but there have to be, a couple things that you've seen working really well that kind of drive this sort of growth.
Yeah, I think being authentic about it. Honestly, I haven't done a deep dive with my customers. We should have a place that says where did you come from, I guess. But there is a stat that says 57% of Gen Z want to buy from a founder they respect and they admire, right? So a lot of times what happens is, now this can be good or bad, but all our customers have been students, right? Students are salesmen. Usually in an industry like this, it's very easy to go directly to the parent and then they tell the kid, okay, bro, you're going. But we took the other way around where we did content on Instagram and LinkedIn, which kids see, and then kids go sell it to their parents. Then the parents have to be convinced. So that has been working for us, but it's a double-edged sword because I know we're losing sales because of that too, and we have to eventually shift to parents. But right now, at the scale we're at, which isn't very big, that is the method we've been using.
I think in the long term, I do see it working because fundamentally, with the way how Gen Z is, this is how it's going to be long term. Gone are the days where, the parents going to force what
Hmm.
they want to do on the kid, right?
Hmm.
Long term, I think this is pretty solid stuff in terms of sales.
फेयर बड़ा यार एक्सपेंसिव है, एंड देन देख एक पेरेंट्स को थोड़ा डाउट होता है ना, क्योंकि इंडिया में क्या है ना, authority and age is very highly placed. So if you tell your parent that I can get a paid consultant for 30K, or I can do project lay for 30K where kids will guide me, it's very natural to be apprehensive of it, because right now we're in our first application cycle. So we've started receiving acceptances to Warwick, Reed, LSC, all of that. But I understand the apprehension, is my point. So I don't know if that sales cycle will work long term. Maybe once we're 10 years old and we are established and we've sent kids to Stanford, Harvard on aid, then maybe. But right now, like, we have a lot to prove.
Yeah, yeah. But then I think it's a great market to be in right now. Like,
For
it's the
sure.
perfect time for India because the consumerism, the rate at which it's growing, is actually crazy. And
Uh,
also the premiumization that we're seeing. Now, in this case, your premiumization would be in terms of the colleges parents are willing to send their kids to.
Correct.
They, yeah, they're shifting from domestic markets to international where you supposedly have better quality and stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, since we're talking colleges, how is Northeastern like? I mean,
It's brilliant, man. I remember I went to, it was week one, we had a club fair. There were 700 clubs to choose from, which is insane. In school, I had like two, right? And that was also like student council and cooking or some shit. Like, so college is a great place to explore, and then especially abroad, because I used to have classes for 2, 3 hours a day. That's it. Rest of the day you can spend however you'd like. So I'd get to network with people, go to all these club events, explore, find my passions. So Northeastern is great. It's just very cold right now. It's snowing there. So that is the only issue with it. People are great. America is an interesting place. So what I do in America is I'd go to Target on the weekends. I take a notepad and write down all the stuff that I can bring back to India and produce maybe one day. But see, America's too premium. Like, none of the products there would ever work here. But it's really fun because you have the wackish stuff there. Bro, I love everything about it. Like, I brought back 3 chocolate wrappers because I love the packaging. So clean and simple. Uh, but yeah, I know I went a little bit off topic, but America's great. Yeah.
nah, we can take this conversation in any direction. I think
So,
there was someone that analyzed American consumer products and how YouTubers are gonna do really well because they've cracked thumbnails and they know how to catch people's eye. I think
correct, correct.
Mr. Beast
And
did that with Feastables.
it's interesting that, like, yeah, in America, consumer brands are really big, but in India, it's still catching up really slowly. So I am excited for that wave to come through as well.
Yeah. I think till now you've had that very price conscious mindset. Even
Correct.
though even though it might be the most attractive packaging, you're still gonna go for the one that's cheapest. Colleges. If you weren't building in the college space, would you drop out?
uh, so I'm taking a second gap year now.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But I think we have something here, and I'd really like to. It's that, yes, I could finish college faster, or I could help like a million kids get to their dream college, right? So I'm picking the latter. We have momentum on our side. Things are going well. But look, I've always had like an interesting relationship with education, but I think college is a great place to explore. There's no pressure on you. You can do 10 different things. You get to meet these people from all of these new countries. You learn so much, right? Like, my roommates were, I had a Chinese roommate and a Korean roommate, right? With them, all both of them had American roots, and they taught me so much, like showed me so many new dishes and traditions and all of that. And all of those are startup ideas, bro. Like, so being in America is great. If you want to build a startup eventually, there's so many new things happening there. Something will work in India. So
Yeah. Ideas are everywhere. It's just people need
fair.
to execute.
सही बात है, सही बात है. That is true.
And people get demotivated seeing, oh, I thought of this, but it's already out there. By its execution at the end of the day. If you can execute better,
Bro,
just
Varun,
go
you know
for it.
how many people text me every day saying, bro, I had the exact same idea. I just, I'm glad to see you here, but I had the exact same idea. Like, I could have been where you are. Which is an interesting thing. Like, obviously, you're absolutely right. It is 100% execution. And tomorrow, like, someone could fully copy paste our business, but if they just execute better, they will beat us. So we need to make sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Solid.
Yeah, yeah, and then that goes back to building a moat and this, that, and yeah, at Project Lay, one interesting thing which one of the sharks, asked, I think it was Piyush, I'm not sure exactly, but you know, you were contrasted between partnering with schools to grow versus doing that will actually slow you down.
Correct.
And over there, you didn't respond, but in your head, what's the ideal strategy? What's it looking like at Project Lay?
See, bro, what happens now? At our current stage, every month we start the clock from zero, right? So with schools, what happens is every year 200 kids will be your customers, right? And if you do 10 schools, that's 2000 kids. Every year, 2000 recurring customers. With our LTV of 10K, I'm not good at the math, but that's a lot of money. That's like 20 crores, right? So schools are very ideal because it's a consistent flow and we don't have to do any marketing spend. We save all that money. Um, but I understand that the sales cycle are slow, but I think it's worth it. I've never done a partnership with a school yet. So I'll be able to tell you in detail once I think it screws me over and I want to cry because of how tough it is. But right now it seems very appealing.
Yeah, I think it'll help you with that trust factor also because then parents are like, oh, it's come from the school itself. It's not just our kids selling this to us
Fair.
from an
That is a very,
Instagram ad or
yeah,
organic content.
very interesting point.
Sort of a student entrepreneur, like you are a student at the end of the day. What would you say on? I won't ask balancing your time. You're on your second gap year.
Okay. Fair enough.
But convincing your parents. Yeah, that story was really interesting. You were making more than the parents' friends' kids were making. We can
Yeah.
dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, देख यार, मुझे ना वैसे कुछ एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं था. मैंने बस बोल दिया नंबर and I was making 10K at the earlier startup. But but it was supposed to turn to 50K. But I never got the offer of 50K. It was supposed to turn to 50K. So that's why I told the next startup that I'm supposed to be making 50K. So then, like, they kept that in mind, gave me like a really high salary for a kid that just graduated school. And all I did all day was chat GPT and spreadsheets, but I learned so much. Like, I should have been paying them to be there because, oh my God, my life changed after that internship. Um, yeah, but there was no real story. There was just, I feel like everything I've ever accomplished in my life is because मुझे अपनी औकात नहीं पता. Like, if I thought I feel like I just don't have limitations. Like I just do stuff, bro. Like I'll just email the randomest people. I apply for Shark Tank. Shark Tank has a 0.01% acceptance rate. I never thought I was getting in, but I thought, harm क्या है? And that's the same thing with the salary also. Like I quoted really high because I was like, ठीक है नहीं तो बोल देंगे. Like it's not like they'll rescind my offer because I asked for a too high salary. They'll equate it to, oh, she's a kid, never done salary negotiations before, and move on. Make advantage of all of that. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Good time.
Yeah, I think being high agency, just like doing shit, right? That's what
Yeah,
matters. Like,
fun
just don't sit around thinking, ki, Arey, I'll do this, I'll do that. Just bias for action.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And
And bias for fail fast also is what I've realized. Like, where I read in Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog is a great book, by the way, if anyone wants to become a founder. But he talks about the fact that the most important thing in life is to fail really fast. So if you take a lot of action, you're ticking off a lot of things that could be done. You fail fast. That is great for everyone involved because that's more startups that you can build. So,
yeah, I think that's great. So, are you big into reading? Or this was just
uh,
one?
I'm trying to get into it. Like I'm trying to read a book a week. I used to be really big into reading. Then I started playing football, left reading. But I have my specs because of my reading. Like I used to read a lot. But recently it's been just autobiographies of like entrepreneurs or accomplished people.
Mhm. Anything that really struck you, something that you read and you're like, shit, this is mad.
Small things. I think in Shoe Dog especially, like that's become one of my favorite books really quick. He says a few things like how can I change the world if I've never seen the world? That made me want to travel a bit more. And then he talks about how they went to this exhibition, right? And the shoes that they were supposed to debut were really bad. The paint was off, the Nike ka swish was crooked, Nike was spelled wrong, and yet by the end of the night they sold out. And when they asked like their customers why, all their customers were like, "Bro, you guys always tell us the truth. If you're saying it'll get better, we believe you." So and then the third thing he says is that he was a very interesting guy, right? He did his bachelor's, he did his Stanford MBA, then he went backpacking and just started a shoe company, right? Which is a very non-traditional path. So he talks about just taking risks, and all you have to do is just never stop. Just keep moving towards your target, and it'll come. So yeah, but great book for anyone watching, because I have you read it by
No,
chance?
I've not read this one. No.
You should, because every chapter it felt like the company was going to shut down. Like it was such a big problem, but he just sort of like get through it because he just kept at it. So that also I realized is very important. And instead of just bursts, like you just need to consistently show up every day, and it will work out.
Yeah, yeah. You'll face new problems every day, but then just yeah.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah.
part of the game.
Cool. Sounds interesting. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah. So on one side, we have counselors that are going to become more available in schools
Right, right.
because of India's consuming class growing, premiumization, this, that, right? So how do you see that playing out for Project Lay?
So it'll be very slow. Because I was at Woodstock, which is one of the fanciest schools in India. We had one counselor, right? And so by the time that it's just like a very little bit of our market will be eliminated, and it's not like this will be a model for the next 10 years, but for the next 5 years that it will be. Um, I don't think they'll be able to catch up. Like I don't think there'll be ever enough counselors in India. There's so many kids, and people think that paying for counselors is a very unnecessary expense, right? So
Yeah.
I think we have time.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I that's really interesting. I never looked into, this premiumization that's happening. What are the first categories that are actually being premiumized? I
Correct.
think, yeah, education's gonna be like on the bottom of the list, bro. Now that I think
Hundred
of it.
percent, bro. Like, there's no question about it. Which is really sad, obviously, because everyone deserves access. And I realize that even though we're very affordable, we that is compared to the others in the market. Relatively, we're affordable, but for the regular Indian, it's still really, really, really expensive, right? So, schools need to do a better job at democratizing it really fast. And I feel like they're improving with the whole like board exams twice and you need a compulsory internship or something in CBSE. Like they're trying to improve, which is great. They just need to do it a lot faster.
Damn, is that already implemented? Compulsory internships?
यार वो प्लान नहीं आया था एक साल पहले.
Oh, that
uh,
NEP thing.
yeah. So there
Uh,
is some extracurriculars you need to do for that, right? To pass.
I'm so disconnected with school now.
Fair enough, bro. That's the thing. I can never be disconnected with schools ever in my life again because this is where I'll work for the rest of my life. But fair enough, bro.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a good place to be.
Mm. I think, yeah, good conversation. Matlab, I enjoyed. Is there anything else you want to say or anything else, you wished I'd asked? Anything like that at all?
नहीं यार, just to anyone listening, just start. I think that should be everyone's final piece of advice, to just start. I wish, and to fail fast. Like I wish I failed fast earlier. Like I just in my head I thought summer programs was such a great idea, that just for 3 years I didn't change it. But without proof of revenue, without proof that customers, I thought the customers liked it, but without any like concrete proof. So, and then one of my friends told me that, boss, you fall in love with the solution. Never create a product that has no need to exist. And that's what I was doing. So, get brutal feedback, get it fast, and just take action. And I think you'll be ahead of like 99% of
Yeah, yeah.
other folks.
Yeah, as a founder, you very quickly fall in love with what you're building. You
For
know,
sure.
and you're looking at it from so up close. You sort of need that 30,000
Correct,
feet view, which only outsiders will be able to give you.
correct, correct.
You need that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and an honor to host you, Jumna. It was amazing. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Thank you for dealing with me. I know I've been half out of it, but I love talking to you as well, and I hope we can do it again sometime soon.